How old is the greenhouse?
So this was built in 1952.
Okay.
The original, which was on this footprint, was 1867.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't restore that one.
No, it was wood.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
it was probably rotting or something.
It was a bit ill-fated.
Yeah.
A tree fell on it.
Oh, boy.
They had a massive
this is
boiler
cute.
fire.
This is how I imagine my personal greenhouse to be. This looks really nice. All right, so we're at the Durfee Conservatory and at the University of Massachusetts, and we're here with Michael. Michael, tell me a little bit about who you are and how long you've been working here.
Sure, I'm Michael Formosi.
Yeah.
I'm the manager of the conservatory. And I actually went to school here.
Oh, you did?
Many years ago.
Okay.
And basically ended up here, and I've been doing it for about 14 years. Yeah, I actually left, got a master's, came back.
You've been here for 14 years, working specifically at the conservatory. And what your background's in horticulture or plant science? Or?
It is, yeah, in education, so I have 2 degrees. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is perfect for you because all these conservatories are usually here for research and for education.
Right, I do a lot of tours of local school groups, so the education part helps.
Well, this is a cool greenhouse. It's so organized. It's like really nicely displayed and...
I'm the only person here, so I need to keep things organized just to sort of keep things together. One thing I always say is that this just scratches the surface. You know, just the incredible range of succulents available. And every year we see new ones, so there's breeding programs out there, and so every so often a new one will pop up. And I think that's because out west, they have to plant more naturalistically. So I think people really want new ones, and that's why we eventually get them out east.
When I'm out west, people sell them for their landscapes. Here, we're kind of growing them in pots.
Yeah,
There are certain
indoors.
ones that we could get away with.
And there are a few hardy ones for our area, mostly sort of the hens and chicks.
Yeah, or agave havardiana. I have a couple of those. Like some of the agaves are hardy enough.
Yeah. But for us, mostly they're indoor plants.
Well, this kind of display is interesting because it reminds me of the Victorian era where they had the auricular theaters or they had geraniums displayed.
Oriented due south, so the sun just comes beating in here and they just love it. So.
That's nice. And then these are more naturalistic displays, I guess, that you have here.
For the bigger specimens. This is actually not very deep. This is probably just a few inches deep. They have such shallow root systems, you can really pack a lot into a small space.
So what are these? These are just wooden troughs?
These are cement benches that basically we put wood over.
Oh, okay.
Just to make them look a little better.
Yeah, nice.
And we actually grow everything in just a peat moss perlite mix.
Okay.
And this is just a dressing on top.
Like a top dressing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we don't get algae growing there, so.
Lots of Hoyas hanging out in here. And
Hoyas,
geraniums. Oh, so this is like scents.
You recently did a video on these, so. Yeah.
I just feel like they're underserved houseplants, and I used to grow like a couple just for the smell of them. I just don't see them as houseplants very much. I feel like they fell out of favor, you know?
I think so. It's kind of a shame because I struggle to find something that would grow in this house because we have large trees over here, and we would get shading and then the leaves would fall and we'd get light, and so we'd have this weird light pattern. And a lot of plants just weren't happy with that.
Yeah.
And then I tried these.
The Pelargoniums.
Yeah, and they're doing great. In the winter for us, they kind of go dormant a bit and stop growing. And then as soon as the long days come, they just take off.
So these look like they've been pruned pretty well though too.
Yes.
So what in the winter when you say they go dormant, how do you care for them?
In the fall, I'll stop fertilizing. And then I'll just let them grow, and they'll kind of just stop on their own. I won't do any heavy pruning because I know they're going to kind of stop and just sit there. And then, of course, the heavy pruning comes just when the spring comes again, and that's starting now. And then we get some flowering. You know, they tend not to have very big flowers, but a few cultivars do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Prince of Orange. That's a nice blossom.
I mean, a lot of the bedding geraniums are the ones with like kind of bigger blooms, you know, but the ones that you would plant as an annual bedding plant. But yeah, these are fantastic. I mean, I love the glaucous color of the leaves. I'm glad to see that, you know, this kind of just gives credence to the video that I just did where the pelargoniums could be a really nice mix.
And for us, when I do school tours, of course, the elementary school students love these.
Yeah.
Because I can tell them, they've got, you know, tough leaves, so I tell them, just reach out, rub a leaf.
Rub a leaf, smell the leaf,
smell the essential oil.
Yeah.
And I think if you were blindfolded, you couldn't tell the difference between that and mint, right?
Yeah, no.
It's just so close.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, probably by the texture of the leaf, you would feel a little bit like, oh, but for somebody who is a novice with plants and would be blindfolded, or if you just had the essential oil smell. The same thing with the rose geranium, because as I shared, if somebody didn't want to pay for the rose essential oil, they would usually be getting the essential oil of rose geranium.
Yeah, and I would definitely recommend taking cuttings of it and planting it outside in direct sunlight, because it's amazing how if they're in direct sunlight all day, how quickly they grow and how much oil they produce.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you don't even have to rub the leaf. You just walk by and those oils are volatilizing off it. Yeah.
This one's called Old Spice, so I was wondering if it actually smelled like the deodorant,
I always say it's best to read the label.
Yeah.
It puts it in your mind, and then when you smell it, you're like, oh yeah. Coconut.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when we were in the Netherlands and they had this beautiful Pelargonium collection, it really opened up my world to Pelargoniums because they had so many different forms and shapes. But not all of them smelled great. Some of them were like dirty socks, like gym socks. Yeah. I think those are probably the ones that don't really get into the trade.
Right. Oh no, definitely not.
Not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and so my Plectranthus, isn't this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Collection of sort of also basic house plants, so that when people come in and they explain they want to grow house plants and they tell me their conditions, I can say, okay, well you might want to try this one.
Right.
This
Exactly.
Is good for shade,
Spider, some peperomias here. Some easy ones, Ficus pumila, I would say. And then, and I always like under the bench plants.
These are the volunteers.
Yeah, what makes it under the bench?
Anything that survives and is pest-free, that's my criteria. Now over here I have some passiflora, and unfortunately I don't have one in bloom.
Right.
But I have one from yesterday, which is just closing.
Yes.
Out. So these will open up.
These are
later in the day.
exquisite blooms.
Oh, yeah.
And are these some of our native passifloras, or are they some that are a little bit more like hardy to the south, or?
Oh, these are tropical.
These are all tropical.
I believe it's called maypop, which is a hardy one.
Yep.
And
incarnata, passiflora incarnata, I think is ours.
And they grow it in Connecticut.
Yes.
It can grow in Connecticut. And since the zones are changing, I bet you could grow it here, maybe up against a house foundation.
Yes.
And it might survive.
Yeah. Yeah, those are exquisite. And I guess they're edible.
Maybe not palatable. That's what I always say.
I don't know if they're palatable, though, but they're edible.
And coleus, of course, every year they come out with new cultivars.
Yes, and thinking about taking, these are so easy to take cuttings of,
Yes.
I would take a cutting and just kind of grow it indoors for a bit and then pop it outside in the spring or summer months.
I always tell people at the end of the season, take some cuttings, root them. If you can just get them through the winter. And then you can get them out in the spring.
Yep.
They'll just take off. And then our big house is the tropical house.
This is cool. This is a not too shabby greenhouse.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of students and staff that come during their lunch hour to hang out, relax. Can't beat it on a cold winter's day.
Yeah.
Could be 30 degrees outside, but with the sun coming in, we can get this up to 80 pretty much.
Oh my goodness. I mean, look at these fat koi, huh?
Yeah. Of course, the pond looks great, but it also, for such a big house, we need it basically as a heat sink. So during the winter, it's just there's 4,000 gallons and it's storing heat. And then as soon as the sun goes down in the west, it'll start releasing that heat back.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. And then what's the mist system that you have here? It's just like a little...
Very simple, just a misting nozzle. Especially in the winter, the air's so dry outside. In order to keep some relatively good humidity in here, I just constantly pumping mist into this house. And fortunately, I can just do it right over the pond.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
I don't have wet walkways.
What's the heating system that you're using in here?
Yep, so we get our steam, low pressure steam from the steam plant on the other side of campus.
Oh, interesting.
And so there's just pipes going throughout campus and we tap into it. And Yep, we have fin tubing for this house. This needs a lot of steam.
I hear a chipmunk.
Yep, that's our resident chipmunk.
He's like living in tropical climates.
Yep, I always, if I have one that moves in, and one always moves in,
Yeah.
I feed it a few peanuts to keep it
Yeah.
because they're territorial.
Yes.
And then they'll keep all the others out.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
so I don't get any diggers.
Oh, there he is.
It's Carl, actually.
That's Carl. Okay, this is a guy after my own heart with all my chipmunks.
Well, you can feed him later. He's
Yeah.
very friendly.
Okay, perfect. I feed my chipmunks at home, but I don't think they do a good job of keeping the others away. They all just seem to move closer to me.
Oh.
And so they all come and sit on my shoe, and then I feed them. We'll talk about some of the plants that you have
Sure.
in here as well.
Cacao. So that's actually that's producing some flowers. Such a strange plant that it actually flowers from its bark.
Yeah, is it called cauliflower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get a pod, but since we have elementary school students coming through, it doesn't last long. It's just too interesting.
Yeah.
And what's that? And then
You try to hide it under the under the tillandsia, but
yeah. And so the original gum tree, chewing gum tree. So you can tap
fascinating.
that.
Yeah.
And it produces like a latex.
I mean, and is that some of the demonstrations that you do when school students come through, or you kind of leave that as just a story that you tell?
I usually do a riddle, and I always say, with this one, you chew it, but you don't eat it.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Usually they can get it right away.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. How do you keep the bamboo under control?
Well, I cut it every year.
Okay.
So within the next week or two, I'll just cut it right down and then get some nice new vigorous growth
Oh, nice.
for each fall. Yeah.
And I see that your fig tree, wow, your fig tree is big.
Yep, fiddle leaf ficus.
It looks like it's been polarded a bit.
Oh, I attack that every year vigorously. I always think of, in a modern conservatory, when they build it, they think carefully about the plants they put in it, and so they'll choose a dwarf form so that it will grow just, to the top, but won't go over. But they didn't think of that when they planted this in the 50s, and so it's always a struggle. I'm always sort of, you can see I'm quite severe.
Yeah, and you're right up against it.
Yep.
But this is this Araucaria, the Norfolk pine? Or?
Yes, it is, yeah. It's actually a common houseplant.
I could never keep them. They would probably prefer the greenhouse conditions.
Yeah, the heat, and I think they also like the humidity in here too.
Yeah. And Ficus elastica over here.
Yeah. Some nice plumeria here.
Oh, wow, it's in bloom.
Yeah, this is a pink form. Yeah, someone gave that to me.
This is like a street tree in Asia.
Oh,
you know
nice.
what I mean? It's just like you see them growing everywhere, all different colors.
That's what they also say about the osmanthus, the sweet olive.
Yeah.
And so we have people from Asia come in, we have one, and they'll be like, they'll be reminded of their homeland.
Oh, man, it's so funny because maybe they feel like, that's so pedestrian.
Well, although the scent
is
just
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. Supposedly there's an osmanthus now that is hardy to like a zone 6.
I'm not sure I believe it.
I was tempted to try it, but I didn't go that far yet.
I mean, I find them tricky enough to grow in this environment. So
okay, well that's
good
to know. Then I'm not going to maybe test my prowess then.
Some
gingers,
ornamental
right?
ginger, and what I love about it is that the smell of the ginger is throughout the whole plant here. And so I don't know if you've ever taken just a
Ooh, that is
straw.
nice.
Yeah.
It seems almost like medicinal. There's like a medicinal quality to it. That's nice. Does it ever flower?
Yeah. So here's the.
Oh, it's like a
right
white
there,
color.
Yeah, on the bridge.
Yeah. I started growing some more gingers indoors. I think they're also underserved houseplants. You have to have some of the space for it. But, I've never gotten mine to flower.
It takes a lot of light. That's why this is here, because it gets the intense sunlight.
But if you like the leaf shape and everything, it's actually quite a nice houseplant as well.
Another plumeria.
That's pretty.
That's a yellow.
And then some asparagus fern over here.
Yep, that's a volunteer.
Oh, is it really?
In the powder puff tree, the calandra is actually, I've been told that in South America, it does grow very fast, and they actually can use it for forage for livestock. So they just hack it back and then they feed it. And I've noticed that because I've cut this back hard. And it's just amazing how quickly it it comes back.
Is it? Do you know what family it's in? Is it in the Fabaceae or no? The pea family or no?
I think it is actually.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you mention it. Yeah.
Just because it has like leaves like that, and I wonder because oftentimes when you think of like a locust or something, they grow really fast.
Yes.
And they take well to pruning, and sometimes they're nitrogen fixers even in the environment, maybe. And then another ficus, which is also a pretty popular house plant.
Yeah, a lot of variegation in that.
Aspleniums, right here you have some bird's nests.
And bird of paradise.
Bird of paradise already blooming.
And then we have some historic cycads. So these were actually in the original conservatory. And when they took that one down, they actually put these in a greenhouse and then brought them back. When the tree fell, cold air came in and destroyed the tropical collection.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, and then what they did was the camellias survived.
Yeah.
And they put them in a greenhouse, built this, and then brought them back in.
Wow.
So,
And then this is a fishtail palm, I think.
fishtail palm, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have some calamondins? Yeah,
Yeah.
calamondin orange in there.
Yeah. We grow it basically just for the fragrance of the flower.
That's nice. But you can eat it.
Oh yeah.
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 Begonias, and one is actually in flower, but really known for their leaves.
This is the giant bird of paradise. Actually.
That is huge. Has it flowered for you?
It has. It flowers about every 2 to 3 years for us. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But the bloom is just amazing. It's a white and blue, same shape, but it's just huge.
Well, I think a lot of folks could empathize. They grow these massive strelitzias in their house, and they just kind of topple over after a few years. But here you have like the sun coming through the glass, and it's just kind of growing straight upright.
Yep, you can see all the leaves are sort of positioned just to get that sunlight coming.
Yeah. Is this a clivia?
Actually, this is a southern lily, actually.
Oh, is it really?
We do have clivia over there, yeah. Beautiful white flower, sometimes called spider lily.
Spider lilies, yeah.
Beautiful fragrance.
Yeah.
In fact, we have a spath here that actually all week has been having a beautiful fragrance from it. I guess it's sort of...
Oh, wow.
But you smell that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can just walk by this.
Oh, there's a little bit of clove scent
Isn't
to
it
that,
amazing?
interestingly enough. I probably have pollen all over my nose now. That smells a lot like clove, but like a really soft jasmine-y clove.
Yeah, beautiful fragrance.
Oh, you should smell that. That's really nice. That's like good enough to eat, like vanilla, jasmine, and clove.
Yeah, I don't know how you recreate that like in a food.
Yeah,
It's so nice.
That's delicious. And that's something, a flower that you wouldn't think would actually smell.
No,
Yeah.
in fact, like the first time I smelt that fragrance, I was looking around for the frangipani or
Yeah.
for the plumeria and whatever, and then I finally realized, wow, that's coming from that one flower.
Right. So I have
Your
spath
pollen.
all over my nose.
Some white powder.
I was sipping white powder back on
It's
the
worth it. That
spathophyllum.
smell is amazing.
That was
I'm sorry.
delicious. I would like a sugar cookie that tastes like that.
So this is the Bromeliad and vine house. And so these are our different bromeliads here.
A lot of, do you find these are a lot of cultivars, or do you have some species?
Yeah, both, but a lot of cultivars, because it's amazing the breeding that they've been able to do with these.
Incredible. It's like, what is this, some kind of acmea?
Acmea, yeah.
Yeah, wow, it's like a zebra and it has a beautiful color.
Yeah.
And the ants are all over that one.
Yep. There's an acmea at the end there too that's just moving. That's a beautiful one too.
Wow.
I like these because I just fill the rosettes with water, and I don't really have to worry about them until that goes down. So
now, are you using like city water? Do you have RO water? What, anything special?
just the city water.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll alter it a bit with some vinegar just for certain plants.
I see.
These are great if you have a lot of sun. If you have a lot of sun. I know that in Florida they just do these as bedding plants.
Bedding plants.
Huge.
Yeah, exactly. we were through the Southwest bedding plants over there, and then we have the Floridian bedding plants here. Yeah, these kind of, it's a funny thing because you see a couple like bromeliads that have made it into the houseplant market, but they really haven't taken off in the way that I think that maybe people in the Bromeliad Society would like to see them. The tillandsias, I think, are more ones that people have taken a liking to, you know, for at least indoor plants.
And I think it might be a light issue that people just find it hard
Yeah.
at home to provide the amount of light it
Yeah,
needs.
yeah.
And these are cryptanthus. These are related, but they grow on the floor of the forest.
Earth stars, I think they're sometimes called.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then,
Just a selection of different vines here. Some orchids in the back.
yeah, Ipomea. This, and then is that a clerodendron?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty flowers.
And I find that to be one of the easiest vines to grow. And it just does such amazing things with its flowers. So they sort of start out one way and then they end up, they also end up as strange seed pods with orange and black. And,
There's a shop that's based next to me, and they have a massive one that's growing in their window. So I never was tempted to grow one indoors, but after seeing that and seeing it that it flowers extremely well indoors, I was like, wow, that could be a really interesting vine to grow. I've only ever had seen it in greenhouses prior to that, so.
And if you need to fill a big space, this is the plant for you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You could just let it go wild.
And then do you have any orchids in bloom?
Yeah, we have a few in bloom here. Most of them bloom in the spring and the fall for us.
And are these orchids that people toss out and you end up taking from the supermarket?
Yes,
Or do you have some, although you have some interesting species right here. Interesting.
And this is our cool house where we have our bonsai. It takes quite a while to learn this skill. I've been fortunate because I actually had a student from Thailand, a freshman, walk through the door one day.
Yeah.
And he said, "Can I ask you a question about your bonsai?"
Yeah.
And usually for freshmen, they ask, "How do you keep them so small?"
Right.
But his question was, "Would you like to see my collection? I grow them back in Bangkok."
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I said, and I thought maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And he just showed me picture after picture of incredible specimens.
And you said, hey, do you want to work here?
Exactly. By the time he was done,
Yeah.
I said, his name is Tirat.
Yeah.
And I said, Tirat, would you consider working on ours?
Yeah.
And he agreed. Great for us, but you can. This is all his wiring.
Wow.
And sculpting.
That's so cool.
Yes, very lucky.
So, and how old, do you know how old these are, or?
These are over 100, the large
Wow.
ones. Yeah, they were donated years and years ago. It's amazing how much skill he has gained in just about 6 years of studying it.
Yeah.
And I love the detail work he does. Like, for instance, you see the wire that's sort of braided, which allows him to just slowly turn it and bring the branches together.
But also that in many, that I've seen in a lot of bonsai that I've seen, is that sometimes they'll leave the dead branches.
Yes.
Like here, because of the look of it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So making that choice.
And these are the camellia trees I was telling you about. These were in
Right.
the original conservatory. And of course, these are great because these bloom during the short days in November, and that's when everybody's looking for It's a sight for sore eyes because the blossoms are like.
Are they all pinks? Are they whites? Are they a combination?
Pinks, whites, reds, and bicolor, which is like a red and a white.
Yeah. This one's so cool. Look at this olive.
This is interesting because what this was is you can tell that someone got a stump, an old tree, and then
grew it.
There was a little sprout from the roots, apparently. So this is actually just run up in the inside of it.
Wow.
So there's one run up here, and then there's one run up in the back there. But the trunk itself has been dead.
It's dead, yeah.
This is a neat one. The scent is lemon. It's a cypress with a...
I feel like they sell this a lot, I think, during Christmas time. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But this one's almost looks like a multi-stem the way that it's cut. It's not a true multi-stem, but it's nice to see all that stem. Because normally when they sell them, it's just kind of like a triangle. Yeah. Those of us who have small apartments, just have a small Christmas tree. Now the ones that are deciduous, do they lose their leaves in the winter months because this is kind of kept somewhat cool, or?
They do. We have to bring the temperature down here enough so that they'll lose them.
Yeah.
But not enough to damage the camellias.
Yeah, it's a nice balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah. This one's interesting too. I like this structure.
When Nam was working on this, he seems to know just how much you can bend a branch, and these are old branches.
Yeah.
So, but I would have to look away because he would bend them. For sure, that's going to snap.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, and of course, you can see he has to use pretty strong wire.
Yeah.
To get these old branches, and just like you said, he chooses which branches
to leave.
To create dead.
Yeah. It's like he's like a chiropractor of trees, All right, so this is the end of the greenhouse.
Yes, yep.
Well, this is fantastic. It looks like you're setting up another system out here, though, like another like raised bed system.
Yep, these will be planted with miniature conifers, so dwarf conifers out here. Yeah,
but
this has just been redone.
You have espalier trees, though, too.
We do, yes. Okay. So these are espalier apple trees.
Nice. This is what we have growing on our fence line, Sonder, espalier apples.
And what varieties do you grow? I'm just curious.
Okay, so we have two ones that had been started as espaliers, and they are grafted. Each rung has different grafted. So Liberty, Enterprise, and then I can't remember the last one. I'd have to look at it. But so each branch has something different, which I think is like fun.
So all disease-resistant ones,
and all disease-resistant ones, and they all bloom at around the same time, so they could pollinate each other, which I think is really.
And that's what these were. These were planted when the disease-free apples first were introduced.
Yes.
And so Liberty, Mac-free, and Freedom.
Freedom. Yeah. Freedom might be the other one that I have.
Makes sense.
Freedom, Liberty, and Enterprise.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
And so basically they don't use any kind of fungicides on these. They don't use any insecticides, so you've got to choose carefully when they're right.
Yeah. Well, this is a wonderful tour. What a nice asset for the university to have, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. We're doing group botanical tours later this year next to Costa Rica and Thailand. Now, even though the trips are sold out, if you'd like to go, be sure to sign up to the wait list because we may be able to do an additional trip for those interested. Go to homesteadbrooklyn.com, click the Learn tab, and head over to Botanical Tours for more information or find the link below in the description. And if it's something that you'd like to do in the future, be sure to sign up anyway so you know when next trips launch. We'll see you in the next video or on one of the tours.